Today we are discussing COPA data sources, and COPA data sources are customer generated data sources. They are not business content, but they are SAP provided data sources. Here you can see in this diagram, we have application specific data sources and cross application. In application specific, it means SAP given data sources. We have business content and customer generated data sources. The difference between business content and customer generated data sources are the business content is what we use as is process, like just like the SAP has provided, we use them by installing directly and we use them because SAP provides whole data flow. And here in customer generated data sources, customer has to select some fields and customer has to generate the data source himself. So in customer generated data sources, there are two types. There are two modules where we generate data sources. One is COPA and one is FISL. FISL is a finance special purpose ledgers and COPA means controlling and profitability analysis. So, controlling and profitability analysis, COPA is mainly used for sales and contribution margin reports because it helps determine profitable your market segments, like to analyze the market segments like customer, product, geography, sales, organization, etc. So, um, in COPA, there are mainly two types of reports. One is costing-based reports and one is account-based reports. In costing-based reports, it is to evaluate sales orders, like billing documents to determine the deductions and costs. And there is the account-based reports, which are, which normally provides a profitability report and they are integrated and they are reconciled with FI. So these are the two main reports we have in COPA, and we are going to see costing based reports today. So this is the data flow, typical data flow of COPA. Here, if you want to create a COPA data source, you have to go to transaction code KEB0. So that is the transaction code for the COPA. So here you can see we have created a sample data source one underscore zero PA profit. One underscore is the naming convention for the COPA. If you want to create a COPA data source, you have to follow this naming convention one underscore something. So this is the naming convention one underscore COPA underscore. It's up to, you can start, you can write anything. So you have to create a COPA data source in KB0 transaction and then you replicate it. And after replicating the data source to BW, you have to find the info object names for the field names. After finding the info object names, you have to create a DSO and you have to create info queue and extraction should take place like first you extract to PSA and then you extract to DSO through by uh, creating DTP and transformation and then you have to create another DTP and transformation from DSO to info queue. So there is the process and here we will see how to create a data source now. So we are creating costing-based reports. So you have to make sure there are three functions: display, create, and delete. We want to create the data source; it is not existing. So there is a field called operating concern. You have to check which operating concern you need to use, like IDA or any other business operating concern you have. So here we are using IDA. So you have two types of reports. One is costing based and account based. You have to check costing based reports here because we are creating costing based and execute. Here you have a text to say we want to create a costing based profitability and analysis report. Once you give the descriptions, both short, medium, and long descriptions, you have a naming, a field name for the partitioning. Here you have a company code. This is optional to partition. You can partition on company code if you want. So once you give fill this information, you can create a data source. And another thing you can do is to select the fields you want. So these are the fields available, and some are default, and some you can select yourself. You can see there are these fields which are default. Uh, so you have to select them, and then there are fields which are optional. You can select them if you want. So we want to, if we want to select all these fields, we can select them. If you don't want, we can take them away. So these are all the key figures like actual sales deductions and accrued sales and scrap. Uh, like that, there are different measures. So we have selected some selected key figures and selected few of the characteristics which we needed. Just you have to do that according to your requirement, and you have to select the ones you need it. So once you select the fields, you have to generate the data source. So for that, we can see that we have selected all the fields, and we need to go up. Here you have an option, info catalog. So if you check this, then you can see that there are no inconsistencies, and you can go to the info catalog and create the data source. Here, when you create a data source, you will have four options: selection, hide, inversion, and field only. These are the four options you have to define for a data source field. I will show you what they are. For example, you have here you have four options, right? So these are the options we have: selection, hide field, inversion field only. So here selection means when you select this option, you will find this field will be available as a selection parameter in RSA3 and info package. You will find this field, and you can select you can use it for selection ranges. You can, for example, if you have a plant, or if you have a land one country key, then in this country key you can select the America and only data of the America, and you can apply that selection, and you can see the data. So for that purpose you have to check the field here, so that it can appear as a selection parameter. So when you select this field here as a selection, here if you select a height field, the field doesn't appear in PW system at all. So it is not available. So inversion, this one we use it to multiply with -1. When you apply inversion, here you can see there is an inversion, and if you apply that, it means that you are going to multiply it with -1.
What is the use of inversion?
Yeah, inversion is used to reverse the delta. For example, you have loaded a delta which you don't need, and it is wrong. You have done it by mistake, and it is giving a wrong value. You already loaded it. In that case, what you can do is to apply inversion. So it will multiply key figures with -1 and you can load it again. And this time when you load it again, it will have a +1 -1 effect, and it will cancel the previous request. I mean, it will nullify the previous values so that you don't have to delete whole cube or whole DSO and reload historical data again. So unless, I mean, with the, I mean, by applying inversion, you can save the data, historical data. If you have loaded a delta which is not, which you are not supposed to, then you can nullify that by applying inversion.
Okay.
So field only. This is used when you add the new field, and when you go for the customer index. Suppose you have added a new field and you have done the coding, and in this case, if you will have a choice here, then to select this field only option. If you select this field only option, you can only use that field as a field only. You cannot use it for any other purpose, like selection. You cannot check the selection. So you have to you have to take a decision like if you want to use it as field only or check it as a selection. If you want to check it as selection, you have to write a selection. I mean, select options code as well. When you are enhancing a data source, you will add ZZ fields, ZZ bookers. So if you added such field to your append structure, in that case you have to you will have an option to select this option field only. If you select it as a field only, you cannot use it for the selection as a selection parameter. So these are the options we have for every data source. And once you define options like you want to use few fields as a selection parameters, then we have to define it here, and then you have to save that. Now the data source is successfully created, and you can check this data source in RSS3 for the data. RSC3 is the extracted structure, and we give our data source name. Here we can give, here you can see data records per call 10,000, and display extraction per call is 15 calls we want. So here when you enter, you will get all the selection parameters which we have selected there. We have selected these parameters only. So only these parameters will appear here. And here when you extract the data, you will get all the data which is available in data source. So it has 22,128 fields. So let's try with 30 calls. Maybe we have more data, we don't know. Let's extract it. So that is the most we have. I mean, 22,128 records we have for this data source. Let's check in display. It is not, you can see it is not according to our criteria. Like we have given only 10,000 records per package. So you can see this is the data available, and this data we need to load it to the uh, info provider. So once we get the check the data here in RSA3, we can create our data flow in BW and we will start. Server is not up today, so I won't be able to show you the data flow in BW. We will see the data flow in BW later.
Okay.
So this is the part of ECC we have done, and now we will do the same thing like all the fields we have. I mean the fields we have selected here for the data source. That will be, I mean, we will check them in a database table RSOS field map, and after checking the appropriate info object names for the field names, what we will do is to we will list them down, and after listing them, we can create a data source data store object, and then we will create info queue. So this work we do in uh, BW system. In BW system, we have to go to a web dictionary S11, and you have to use the uh, field. I mean database table RSOS field map. So this is the database table which provides the information about the info objects and available in the system, and relevant field names to the info object. And if you give the field names, it gives the relevant info object names for the field. So this information is in the data source database table. So we will see how to extract the uh, correct, correct info objects for our data source.